brand new building. The Missionary Training Center plans to revamp their campus, but not all are on board with the proposed construction.
Obamacare, the Presidential Health Care Act, goes on trial in one of the biggest Supreme Court challenges in more than a decade.
And fans swarmed. Busier than a beehive in springtime, moviegoers hit local theaters for the latest box office smash. I'm Kelsey Eager.
And I'm Kara Teo. It's Monday, March 26th, and in Utah, it's 12 o'clock.
From KBYU and the BYU Department of Communications. This is the award-winning 11 News at noon.
The Missionary Training Center is making some changes not only for themselves but possibly a surrounding neighborhood as well. 11 News reporter Ariel Harrison attended a neighborhood meeting where an MTC spokesperson answered questions. Ariel, what are neighbors asking about?
Some in the surrounding area agree with the MTC and what they're doing, but there are some who have very divided opinions about what's going on with the new building.
The Pleasant View neighborhood in Provo might not have such a pleasant view here in the near future. For years, neighbors have enjoyed the scenery around their homes, including the temple and mountains. But they may soon see a 9-story building. Last August, the MTC announced plans to replace the building where the bookstore and mailroom are located with the new state-of-the-art facility.
Most of the concern is twofold. One is obviously the height and how that will change the perception of their neighborhood, both by people who drive by and who are in the area, and then also the issue of what will it attract in the future.
MTC spokesperson Richard Heaton held a question and answer session for the neighborhood and shared reasoning behind this 9-story building proposal.
Our objective is to help the neighbors understand what's proposed and then to listen to their concerns and objections.
Heaton says with the heating and cooling systems failing, it's been a struggle to maintain the 40-year-old buildings. He says they are at the end of their life cycles. And while many in the neighborhood are supportive and open to helping out missionaries, others are concerned with the future of the area.
This proposal is totally out of character with all of the discussions that have gone on with the Missionary Training Center and their possible growth in the future over the last 4 years.
Heaton says that the final decision has to go through Provo City, and they won't lift a shovel without city approval. Things should be done around May or June. The city will have made a decision.
Okay, thanks, Ariel. The new Provo Temple isn't built yet, but at least it has an official name. A spokesman for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints says it will be the Provo City Center Temple. The church also says they are working to buy the surrounding land, including the parking garage to the west and the 100 South Block, but they haven't announced any building plans for that land yet.
Police arrested a second man in connection with the death of the girl found in the Jordan River. That second man is 30-year-old Vianua Vehikite. Authorities say he is a gang member with a long criminal record, and they say he was an active participant in the murder of Ann Kasparak. A witness saw 3 men returning home covered in blood, and police are still looking for the third man. Spanish Fork and Grantsville city officials are scrambling to find and replace 2 police chiefs. That's after the state decertified Chief D. Rosenbaum and Danny Johnson for violating police standards. Officials in both cities say that their city council will meet next week and start taking applications for the police chief position.
Utah Republican Senator Mike Lee has officially endorsed presidential candidate Mitt Romney. He encouraged Republicans to get behind their eventual nominee so the campaign could focus on beating President Obama. Romney has more delegates than the other candidates combined. Later in the newscast, we'll fill you in on this past weekend's primary and what's next for the candidates. Some people aren't raising their glass to Utah's new liquor laws. The state hospitality industry filed a lawsuit that says the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints pressured lawmakers into passing a bill that makes liquor laws stricter. A federal judge will hear arguments in the case today, and state attorneys say the church's advice to lawmakers was not unconstitutional.
Governor Gary Herbert signed a bill that demands the federal government to give public land in Utah to the state. He says if the state owns the land, it can use revenue from tourist attractions for Utah's education fund, instead of all going to the federal government. The state set aside $3 million for the anticipated legal battle and expects ownership by 2014. BYU employees are creating a gold medal app for the 2012 Summer Olympics. The language app will allow smartphones to work as a translator for volunteers, athletes, and spectators at the Games. The director of creative work says BYU's large language program has helped him develop the technology, and he's still looking for volunteers to help translate phrases.
When 11 News at Noon returns. Health Obamacare decision. The High Court will hear arguments today on one of the president's signature legislation pieces, how it could affect his campaign.
And remembering Trayvon, one Florida community gathered to honor a teen who died last month, why they wore atypical funeral attire.
Rick Santorum is bowling in Wisconsin, and Romney is moving up in the race. Here's your look at Decision 2012. Rick Santorum won Louisiana's primary over the weekend and wants to keep the ball rolling with his big win. While campaigning in Wisconsin on Sunday, he stopped by 2 bowling alleys to show off his skills, and he threw 3 strikes. The next stop for the GOP primaries is Maryland, Texas, and the District of Columbia on April 3rd. Members of the GOP are also lining up behind Mitt Romney, moving him up in the race. House Majority Whip Kevin McCarthy just endorsed Romney, saying he is the candidate most likely to beat Obama. Other party members say if Romney wants to win, he needs to bring his A game by recruiting a better campaign team, putting less focus on Obama, and picking a conservative vice president.
Obamacare gets some supreme attention. The death of a 17-year-old turns into an argument about race, and rainy days cause major damage in Southern California. Here's your look at news from across the nation. Many call the Affordable Health Care Act President Obama's greatest victory, and some call it illegal. Reporter Renee Marsh shows both sides of the argument on Obamacare and how the 2-year-old law made it to the highest court in the land.
President Obama signed the massive 2,700-page Affordable Care Act into law in March 2010. Parts of it already in effect, like people with pre-existing conditions are guaranteed coverage, and most under the age of 26 can remain under their parents' medical plan. But the main focus of the lawsuits is the requirement that almost every American purchase medical coverage by 2014 or face a financial penalty.
If the court upholds that, could the federal government then order you to eat carrots? Could it order you to quit smoking?
Opponents argue that forcing Americans to buy a commercial product is unconstitutional, and what they call Obamacare gives too much power to the government. But the federal government argues everyone will need health care at some point, and currently tens of millions of the uninsured are costing taxpayers and hospitals more, to the tune of $43 billion in uncompensated costs just in 2008.
We're going to be very glad they called it Obamacare. You're going to see more people covered. You're going to see savings in the healthcare system.
It's perhaps the most important Supreme Court challenge in more than a decade. With healthcare likely a big issue during this fall's presidential election, all eyes are locked on the nation's high court.
One Florida community held a vigil to remember teenager Trayvon Martin's death. People gathered in places of worship and exchanged their Sunday best for hooded sweatshirts, the same type Martin wore when the shooting happened. A Neighborhood Watch volunteer has admitted to shooting the teen, but says it was in self-defense. Others say it was an act of racism. And in California, heavy rain, hail, and snow hit the Golden State hard. The extreme weather caused traffic accidents, damaged streets, and even brought a NASCAR race to a halt. California highway officials shut down many roadways because of high standing water. Weather reports expect the heavy downpour to continue into the middle of the week. And that's your look at news from across the nation. Kelsey?
When 11 News at noon returns. Overtime thriller, the Jazz played 4 OTs against the Hawks, but was it enough for the win? The outcome in sports. Hungry fans, moviegoers this weekend scarfed down the newest box office hit, dropping record-breaking bucks.
Looks like most of you will be wanting to stay inside those movie theaters. 11 weather when we return.
I hope you two got to enjoy the beautiful weather this weekend.
It was nice.
Lovely. And then this morning I woke up to the wind just hitting my windows.
Unfortunately, and it was so dark, I didn't want to get out of bed. I was like, what time is it, you know?
It's still really dark.
It is pretty dark.
Gloomy day.
Yeah, actually taking a look outside today, it looks actually pretty foggy, and it is still gloomy and dark, unfortunately. We're coming in at a cool 41 degrees here in Provo, with that humidity pretty high at around 87%. So we can see some precipitation coming in throughout the day. We do have some calm winds coming in at around 6 miles per hour. Unfortunately, that will get up to around 15 miles per hour later on today. So what we can expect for tonight, we will have a drop in temperature to around 37 for the low. So it's not too significant, but we can expect those wind chills to be a bit cooler. We will have mostly cloudy skies for today, and the sunset coming in at around 7:47 p.m. So taking a recap of what's happening throughout the day and also overnight, we can see that temperature change will be pretty drastic, but not too cold. And also we'll have that rain and snow mixture coming in with a high precipitation chance around 80%. So unfortunately, that will be pretty cold and pretty wet. And taking a look now at the satellite map, we can see what's happening throughout our state. We do have a low pressure storm system coming in throughout the day. It did hit the southern part of our state and will work its way up to the northern part of our state, probably midday. And that storm will be passing through, and we'll have some mountain snow and some rain in the valleys. So we will see that kind of head out of our state early evening tonight, so we can expect clearer skies for tonight. Taking a look at the highs for our state, it looks like Logan will be pretty cold at actually 52, and down in Provo we have 57, and down in the southern part of our state, St. George, at around 61 degrees. Let's take a look at that 5-day forecast for the southern part of our state. We will have that rain from that storm, but Tuesday through, let's see, Friday we'll see that sun pop out with a high at 74 for Wednesday, and then 77 for Friday. So it looks like it'll be a pretty warm weekend for the southern part of our state. Unfortunately for the northern part of our state, not so warm. And we do have that same pattern with Monday coming in at some rain and snow mixture, and with a high at 52 there and low at 37. Tuesday through Thursday we'll see that sun peak out with the high at 66 for Wednesday, then 61 for Thursday. Friday we will see that rain and snow mixture, unfortunately, with the high there at 66 and the low at 50. So southern part of our state pretty warm, but unfortunately northern part where we are not so warm.
It's kind of that
dry.
Crazy springtime weather,
Cool,
wet, sometimes sunny. Gotta enjoy it while it lasts.
Definitely. All right, thanks Ashley. Thanks guys.
So Sean, the Jazz were on a 6-game winning streak.
Call me crazy, but I kind of think that the Jazz have mirrored the weather. It was sunny while they were on that streak, and now that they're gone, it's raining.
Well, I guess you could look at it that way, because it has been an up and down, a roller coaster year, and that's what happens when you get a young Jazz team. But next on sports, bonus basketball. The average NBA game lasts a little more than 2 hours, but last night's Jazz game lasted longer than 3. We'll show you why. And spring scrimmage, Cougar fans got a glimpse of some faces of the future at ElevenNEWS Stadium on Saturday. Sports is next. Stay tuned. And it's a logjam at the bottom part of the Western Conference playoff picture, as the Jazz are in a 3-way tie for the 7 through 9 seeds. And if the playoffs were to start today, Denver would be the odd team out, and the Jazz would get the 7 seed. A few wins could propel them as high as 4th, though, since the Clippers are only a game and a half up on the Jazz. But a few losses could knock them out altogether, with 4 non-playoff teams within 3 games of the Jazz. And the madness is reaching its climax with only 4 teams left in the NCAA tournament. Number 1 overall Kentucky has rolled through the first 4 rounds, winning by an average of almost 14 points per game. And they'll take on 4-seed Louisville at right around 4 o'clock on Saturday. And then it'll be the battle of the 2 seeds. Ohio State and Kansas knocked off Syracuse and North Carolina respectively to make it to the round of 4. And they'll square off a half hour after the Kentucky-Louisville game concludes. As stands at ElevenNEWS Stadium may not have been packed on Saturday, but a little more than 7,500 fans got to watch some BYU football and meet the team. It was a shortened spring scrimmage this year, with injuries decimating the offensive line and other key positions. But with most of the first team watching from the sidelines, it was a chance for fans to see some faces of the future. The scrimmage itself lasted about 40 plays, with the dominating defense holding the offense scoreless. Coach Bronco Mendenhall praised linebacker Ezekiel Ansah and defensive back Mike Haig in particular for their role in shutting down the offense. And Tiger Woods is back in the winning column for the first time in 2.5 years. The former number 1 golfer in the world shot 13 under in the Arnold Palmer Invitational, beating runner-up Graham McDowell by 5 strokes to take home the title. It's Tiger's first PGA Tour victory since he won the BMW Invitational in September 2009.
I don't know if it's just me, but golf and Sundays really go hand in hand.
Could be the golf and the Sunday nap that goes hand in hand.
It's nice and relaxing, at least for us as the viewers. They might be a little sore. But still to come on 11 News at noon. Team PETA or Gale? Who would you side with? Fans weigh in on their favorites from the movie when we get back.
Twitter and Facebook exploded this weekend with the Hunger Games obsession. The movie made its debut on Thursday at midnight, and all this buzz caused it to gross a record $155 million. 11 News reporter Liz Mullins was in the midst of all the chaos and captured fans' first reactions.
Action-packed drama, love story.
That's what made The Hunger Games the third biggest opening weekend ever, coming in only behind Harry Potter and The Dark Knight. Fans started lining up in the early afternoon, and the theaters kept them busy. As it got closer to the midnight premiere, the crowd started pouring in.
I thought it was great. I thought it was very tastefully done. It could have been a lot gorier than, I guess I thought it would be, so I thought it was really good.
Fans say they were pleased that the movie followed the book closely without sacrificing key elements.
The whole book is internal dialogue, and I think they did a fantastic job of bringing it out through the way they did the cinematography and the way that they did the sound.
Some of the fan favorites in the movie were special effects,
8, 7, 6, 5.
Excellent acting.
There's 24 of us, Gail. Only one comes out.
And one-of-a-kind costumes. With 2 more movies in this trilogy to come, fans have a lot more action to look forward to. Until then, it's all about deciding whether you're Team Gale or Team PETA.
I'm a PETA guy.
Gale, all the way.
PETA.
Gale.
Team PETA!
Gale.
Gale, all the way.
In Centerville, Liz Mullins, 11 News.
Okay, so Team PETA or Team Gale?
That is such a hard choice.
For me, guys, come on. He stole her heart.
I just can't decide. Gail she grew up with him. He knows her. PETA saves her life. It's just, what are you going to say?
I think I could go Team Katniss on this one.
Thanks,
Probably the best.
EDU. Thanks for watching. Have a great afternoon.